So for some of that self-awareness and asking yourself why, when you're telling people like, hey, create content and stuff, I know there's a lot of people that are like, well, I want to do something, but I don't really know exactly what content to make. I'm not the expert, or I'm not this, or I'm not that. Would you have them have basically the same conversation, asking why, like, why do you want to talk about fitness, or why do you want to talk about this or that? Is that something that you would recommend someone do?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the best question. You sit down and someone's like, I want to create content about weight loss, whatever. And I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do, whatever. I would say, well, why do you want to do that? And then hopefully they would be like, well, in my early teens, I struggled with body image. And then I really tapped into weightlifting. And then I really found myself, and I really found how powerful I was, and the ability I had to lean into discipline and things like that. And that is what it's taught me. I'm like, well, fantastic. You've just created the foundation for what might be impactful for other people. You have a story that you've learned, and you have the ability to tell that in a way that's maybe entertaining and educational. Boom, there you go. So I think the question of why is going to really unearth both your motivation to do something, which I think is important. I just want to be famous. That is not a good enough reason. That's going to fall in on itself every time. But if it's genuine and it's coming from a place of, I've learned this and I want to empower other people to learn it because it's helped me so much, there's your reason. That's why I'm willing to give dating advice, because like, what is the barometer for giving advice? Like, what gives credit, what gives merit to your words, particularly within dating? I don't think it's being married. I don't think it's having kids. That isn't the barometer that you've been a successful dater. In my mind, the measure of success in dating is that you're happy and fulfilled as you go along and do it. And that's, for me, it's like, I can get broken up with. I can be really frustrated in my dating life. I can go on bad date after bad date after bad date. And as long as it doesn't hurt me, as long as I'm happy as I do it, as long as I maintain my sense of self, I think that's it. And I can turn around and give that advice to other people and can help them do the same. That's a reason that I should sit down and share my advice. So it's the same with other people. Like, there's no, other than like maybe like investment or like financial portfolios or something like that, or like very specific niches where you need to have certain experiences. Like, your measure of the ability to impact other people starts with your perspective of having experiences that empowered you to be happy and fulfilled and confident as you continue to strive towards some finish line. And in dating, it's like, what is the finish line? Marriage? Probably, right? Finding that life partner, but it's what you learn along the way that can be helpful. So I think you could relay that to anyone who wants to create impact in life. Start creating something, share something. And I think the best advice I would give is just do something different. I mean, you can look at anyone, like, creating content online is a dime a dozen. Like, what I do isn't particularly unique, but it is a little bit different. Like, a guy sharing his feelings. It's a little out there. You look at my Instagram. If you didn't look at the selfies that I take, you'd probably think it was run by a woman. It's very bright and colorful, and I love that. I lean into that. Nice. I'm like, I pick that like masculine, feminine energy very specifically, and I do it for a reason. It's like, I think you don't have to, pigeonhole yourself into just being one person or one vibe or one brand because you've seen it work well for someone else. You can create your own trajectory. Experiment with different things. I used to make fun of anyone who would post a selfie, and now I'm posting banger after banger selfie. That's where we're at.
That's great.
And as long as it helps me grow myself and helps other people, I'm going to keep doing it. So the advice would be the same for anyone else who wants to do the same.
What about your process for creating content? Like, from basically like the idea or the inception to, okay, like, what's your process of like gathering information or your thoughts to actually like recording? Like, is it going to be like mainly podcast, or is it going to be like, Instagram TV, or what's the, so what's Case's process?
Yeah. Super scientific, man. I sit here and honestly, my process is really simple. Like, I get inspired very easily. So my phone is filled with notes and screenshots of like things I see online, things that I disagree with. I love going through like quote accounts because I just like see quotes and I'm like, that is not accurate, and I'll just screenshot it and be like, I'll give my opinion on it. So I'll give myself a prompt, whatever it is. Like this morning I released a podcast on why people come back after a relationship fails, right? Why someone who said they're not ready for you, or who rejected you, or said they're going too fast, 6 months later, they come back and say they want to try again, right? Where did I get that idea? My own life, but what reminded me of it, I saw a quote the other day that was like, this is why men come back. And it was like all these like cliches. I was like, I'm going to give my opinion on this. So I had my prompt. I sit down in my chair in Chicago. I live right downtown overlooking the river. I throw on a bunch of house music, big EDM house guy, really loud music, not peaceful at all. Like that's not my vibe. Like I'm not like a Zen guy. I'm like a upbeat 125 beats per minute kind of guy. Throw on the music and I just literally word vomit into a document, a really, really detailed outline. And it just comes out honestly. Like everyone always asks me how I do it, and it's like unconscious. Like I feel like, again, back to skill sets, that's my skill. You ask like, I'm going to compare myself to a great athlete, but that's not my intention. You ask any great athlete, like how they do what they do, they're not going to break it down into the minutia. Well, first I go left and then I go right and then I torque my arms. Like, no, this is what I do because this is the skill I have and I've practiced it for 30,000 hours. So they just do it. So that's what I'm at this point. Again, having done 277 episodes, hundreds of interviews, I've written thousands of blog posts. Like it's a practice thing. Like I just get in this zone, music plus prompt plus a vulnerable spirit. I sit down and I just vomit it out. I hop on the mic, I record it. And then, yeah, I'll chop it up into different blog posts and quotes and things like that. But that's genuinely the process, just inspiration plus the right vibe. I say vibe a lot and people make fun of me, but vibe is important. The right context, vulnerable heart, head. Just go at it.
I sincerely appreciate what you just said, because you might be thinking, or somebody listening might be thinking like, oh, I have to research this exact topic. I have to go to college. I have to get all the textbooks and figure out exactly what to say, and then they end up researching for a month and they never actually put the content out. Whereas you're just like, no, let me just get in front of the computer, let me word vomit all over this Word doc, and then let's actually put something into action and let's put some work in. So thank you for, kind of putting that out there the way you just did, because I know for myself personally, I get stuck in that, scenario a lot, but, being here and then being on this podcast, it's definitely helped. And then hearing, someone like you kind of reiterate it all over again, just thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, it's kind of funny too, because I've had, a lot of offers to do book deals, and I've considered various ones, and they're like, all right, cool. So, the book's going to come out in 2024. You're going to take 2 years to write it. I'm like, I could write that in 2 months. Like, I don't understand what's the, like, I'm not a research guy. I'm not writing a thesis. Like I'm pouring out and I get it. It's different for every industry. If I were to write a book on, technical financial analysis, I got to do certain elementary discovery, but I'm over here talking about feelings. And I think there's something to be said of just not reaching for perfection. Like, this is a random comment, but I've sold almost 100,000 copies of my book, Single is Your Superpower, in the past 8 months, which is insane. No publisher, nothing. And there's a lot of typos in it. And I get emails all the time. And it's like, obviously I want a great product that I'm proud of, and I'm proud of the product, but there are some typos in it. And that's because I wrote it in 2 months, sent it to my printer, they printed it, and I'm selling it, and it's doing amazing. But I mean, yeah, man, I agree with you. It's like, we shouldn't hold ourselves back seeking perfection or overthinking the rationale behind why we're saying what we're saying. If you've got a thought and it's backed by something valid and you're centered in it, rock and roll with it. And obviously take the time to be proud of the product. But I think oftentimes we overthink what we're going to create because we either doubt ourselves or we doubt what people might think, and we just go into this overthinking. I'm big on just gripping it and ripping it and taking the judgment as it might pass.